In today's video, I'm going to teach you how to do a very simple, very easy graduated bob. The back is done in 3 sections. Let's get started. We're going to start this haircut with 4 basic sections, a radial and a profile. However, I am going to section out the bangs. So from the apex to those 2 front corners, I am going to isolate that section so we can customize them after the haircut. Now, this mannequin had already had a long layered haircut, so we're giving her a bob. What's going to happen is when somebody comes in that already has some layers in the hair, that front is going to be a bit shorter. We want to make sure that we're cutting the back to at least the length of that front. I'm not actually going to clip that front section up. I'm using it as a guide. So I'm going to establish the length in the back by pulling that hair in the front right to that section in the back so that I can use that to make sure that I am the same length. And this is a little trick that you can do anytime you have somebody coming in and maybe they want to match up what's in the back to what's in the front, maybe growing out layers. Just use that front section as a guide. And once you've established that, then you can actually begin the haircut. This is a very simple, very fast way to do a graduated bob. You can use this technique in different haircuts, pixie cuts, anything that requires a taper, but for the bob, this is really fast, really easy. I am going to take a diagonal forward sections in the back. This is going to help create a little bit more softness. And this very first section is quite large. I'm taking it right from the occipital bone. Now, if you watch, as I'm pulling it out, you're gonna start to see some hair fall out from underneath. When that hair falls out underneath, that's when I know it's safe to cut, because I'm not going to actually be cutting the length. That length is falling out. So what I'm cutting is going to be interior layers. I'm creating graduation. Anytime you lift the hair from its natural falling position, you're going to create elevation. All right, so then when we release that, you can see that we have created these nice layers, this really nice graduation around the bottom. At this point, you can go through and you can take a little bit more hair off of the perimeter if you want to. I do only because I want to go a little bit shorter in the back and a little bit longer to the front. I find that that really emphasizes the graduation. And there it is. So now my next section that I take down, again, I'm going to stick with those diagonal forward sections. You could certainly do this horizontal sections, but I do find that the diagonal forward keeps the lines a little bit softer. Now, the trick is you want to make sure that this next section is not brought up too high. You want to now create that 45-degree angle. So if you can see that angle that I'm creating there, I am cutting it so that you're getting that round shape instead of 45. You want to wait until that hair just falls out. And when that hair just falls out, again, it's not going to affect the length that I just cut, but it's going to be a little bit longer, which is going to create that nice round shape through that area. And so by directing that hair down to the place where I had cut underneath, I am creating 45 degrees, which is creating that really nice bevel. And you can see that shape taking really nicely. So lastly is this top section. Again, I'm pulling it right down to that very first section that I cut. This one I'm going to point cut because it is the top section, just to keep it a little bit softer on the surface. So the whole back section was cut in 3 sections. This is fast. Now we're going to connect the sides into the back. So I am just directing the hair back, and this is going to create that nice angle that I'm looking for that goes just slightly shorter to longer. I just really like that look of the graduation. And then I'm just going to take the area above the parietal ridge. I'm going to take that whole section, I'm going to grab it. Again, I'm going to direct it back. And I'm just going to take out that little bit of a corner that's going to be there. I don't want to create too many layers through the front. I want these layers to go from shorter to longer, so creating the most layers in the back and a little less to the front. So same thing, you can see the angle of my fingers. I'm just pulling that hair back just a little bit, taking the hair above the parietal, directing it back, and just cutting out that corner. And guys, that's basically it. That's your graduated bob in very, very few sections, very, very few cuts. One last thing I do like to do is I like to take that top section, and just to make sure that everything connects, I will take it back, because sometimes if there are some longer layers or longer pieces in the front, when the wind blows, you want to make sure that it does stay in line with those other layers that are in the back. I do like to do a lot of my finish work when the hair is dry. Sometimes with graduated bobs, you can get a bit of a weight line, and so to make sure that that doesn't happen, you do want to go back when it's dry. Same thing with the bangs. You guys know I love to do bangs dry, that way you know exactly where they're going to fall. So here's what I'm going to do for the customizing here, just to take a little bit of that bulk out, that weight line. I'm just going to grab pieces that where I see any weight, and I'm going to come in and I'm just going to slide cut that weight out. So this is very visual. I'm not doing anything that I need a guide for. I'm just going through and I'm slide cutting anywhere where I feel that the hair is just a little bit heavy. It has a beautiful shape. Those layers are just slightly shorter in the back, going a little bit longer to the front. And it just has a little bit of layering around the edges. The bangs, I really didn't do anything to those. They were already cut quite short, so I just left them as is, and I'm just blending them into the rest. And now I'll just add a little bit of wave so you can see it styled that way as well. So if you're looking for an easy bob, this is definitely the technique to use. If you really like this easy, simple bob, you may like my more advanced technique using diagonal lines. So if you would like to check that one out, it's right here. And in the meantime, have a great hair day.